Believe it or not, we are just 7 weeks away from Election Day. Although in some states, ballots are already being mailed out and early voting is starting this month. So if you don't already have a plan to vote, now would be a good time to make one. After last week's debate, it appears that Vice President Kamala Harris is seeing a boost. A new poll out this morning has Harris up 6 points over Trump nationally, while another poll from the critical swing state of Pennsylvania shows Harris leading Trump by 3 points within the margin of error. Harris was actually in Pennsylvania today for an interview with reporters from the National Association of Black Journalists, which, of course, is the same group that Trump gave an embarrassingly disastrous interview to in July. You know, the one where he falsely claimed the vice president had only recently turned black. During her nearly hour-long sit-down, the VP addressed a number of topics, including her policies on housing, child care, the war in Gaza, and gun control. She was also asked about whether she has full confidence in the Secret Service following the latest assassination attempt against Trump.
You feel safe for you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe. I mean, I look at Project 2025, and I look at, you know, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now. And so, yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our country.
Joining me now are not one but two White House correspondents for the GRIO, Jaron Keith Gaynor, one of the 3 reporters who interviewed Vice President Harris today, and our friend April Ryan, MSNBC contributor. Jaron, I do want to go to you first. You were in the room. Let's talk about that answer, because it seemed that she did spend a lot of time turning her answers around to talk about her policies and turning it back onto the American people, not about her safety, but about theirs. Your thoughts on that answer?
I thought it was interesting that the vice president did that, because we know that what happened with the whole Springfield lie about Haitian immigrants, it has changed real people's lives. And I think it was an interesting ploy by the vice president to flip it back on her opponent of former President Trump and J.D. Vance, putting the focus on actual communities and about the voters, because they're the ones who are going to decide this election.
And, you know, I think it was her goal, April, to make sure to use this platform to really sort of make her core points, no matter what she was being asked. Yeah. This is one of, I think, her strongest answers. She kind of came out of the gate talking about the economy. Let's listen.
4 years ago, when we came in during the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. We came in during the worst public health epidemic in centuries. We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And a lot of it due in large part to the mismanagement by the former president as it relates to COVID and obviously January 6th. And we had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess.
It's important because, particularly in black communities, there's a lot of mismemory about the economy.
Well, you know, it's so interesting. During COVID and a little bit after, there was a misconception. It was reality versus perception when it specifically came to issues like gas. And, you know, politics is personal. There's nothing more personal than the pocketbook. And a lot of black people in black communities, they felt price gouging at the pump. And then in other communities, they felt the release of the strategic oil reserves, et cetera. And now what this administration is trying to do is stop that price gouging that started during COVID, during Donald Trump's time as president. And now we're seeing people still not feeling the effects and impact of a relief. And so the economy is that #1 issue that this administration has to hit, along with abortion and some other issues.
Yeah.
But the economy is the most personal thing, the pocketbook.
Absolutely. I'm going to come back to abortion in just a moment. But, Jaron, you asked a question that was interesting. This was Vice President Harris talking about one of the themes of her campaign, my name, Joy.
There are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people. I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people. I find joy in building community. I find joy in building coalitions.
Jaron, why did you ask that question?
You know, it was important for me to ask that question because, one, I noticed that in doing my research for this interview, the vice president had been using the joyful warrior term even years before she was a vice president. She did an interview with Ellen DeGeneres, and she described herself as a joyful warrior. And this is obviously a theme of the Harris-Walz campaign that I think is resonating with voters. But also because I noticed that on the Republican side, they've been using joy, her laughing, and using that as a tool to suggest that she's not a serious candidate, particularly as a black woman, and the implications that might give to voters. And it was important for me to lift that up. And who doesn't love joy?
Exactly.
Joy.
Exactly. I totally agree. Let's play one more, because abortion is the thing that Republicans are trying to get people to not pay attention to. Let's just be clear. Yeah. They know it's a bad issue for them, so they're trying to get Haitian immigrants to be a scapegoat because they don't have to talk about
dangerous distraction.
Here is Vice President Harris talking about the death of a woman in Georgia because of abortion bans.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia. Tragic story about a young woman who died because it appears the people who should have given her health care were afraid they'd be criminalized after the Dobbs decision came down.
Amber Nicole Thurman is the 28-year-old black single mother in Georgia who died from a severe infection because the hospital delayed a routine medical procedure because of the abortion ban. She died because of their 6-week abortion ban. There has not been a backlash in Georgia to that yet, but it should be now. Black women are dying around this country because of abortion, and Republicans just voted not to protect IVF.